Everybody doing today? Good, good. If you don't mind, I'm going to take my my leather jacket off in this heat. Who's excited to be at Comic-Con Palm Springs today? I said, who's excited to be at Comic-Con Palm Springs today? That's what I thought. That's what I thought I asked. Yes. Yes, we're very excited to have you guys all here today. We have a very special panel for you guys this morning. So, without further ado, since we're running a little behind, let's bring our fabulous voice actors out. First, we have the voice of Goofy, Bill Farmer.
Thank you.
How are you doing, sir?
Good morning.
Good morning. And then, of course, you can't just have Goofy. We're talking Disney, right? We have the voice of Mickey Mouse himself, Bret Iwan. Hello. Hello, Bret.
I try not to take down the curtain like you almost did.
How are you guys doing today?
Doing great.
Good, great. Not too hot
well.
here.
Yeah.
It's great to have you guys here. Really,
Thank you. Our pleasure.
No, it's our pleasure to have you guys here, really. And clearly, people really wanted you to be here as well. Look at this. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you for being here, guys. Is this your guys' first trip to Palm Springs?
No, I've been here many times, but first time for Comic-Con here in Palm Springs.
Well, welcome for Comic-Con.
Yeah, same for me.
So nice on the voice here, you know.
Yeah, we'll try to get a little bit, you know.
It works well. No, I've been to Palm Springs several times. I love Palm Springs, but my first time at the Comic-Con here, so.
Nice. You guys dealing with the heat okay?
Oh yeah, I live in Studio City, so a few weeks ago they had the heat wave, and it was like 118 in my backyard, so I felt, yeah, it's like Palm Springs.
Yeah. I was actually at Universal. I was like, I feel right at home right now because it's super hot.
Yeah.
Just as hot. We just came back from Florida on a Disney cruise, and you know, it felt just about as hot, but it's
Yeah,
humid.
it was
so
like 90
this is much
degrees,
better.
but with humidity it makes a whole lot of difference.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of different heat. You're like, it's a dry heat in Palm Springs. I'm like, it's still hot. All right, you guys, so I just got a lot of questions. I'm sure. Who has a question in the audience? I just want to see a raise of hands. Who has a question? No. I know people are
Absolutely nobody.
Good.
All right.
We're not doing a question portion right now, but I just wanted to see who was ready. So you guys have some time to think about some questions, all right? All right? All right. So, the main thing I have to ask is actually for Bret, because Bret, you and I are actually not far apart in age.
Oh, 21?
Exactly. And we grew up with the same, with you as Goofy, and your predecessor as Mickey. How is it knowing that we grew up with something like that? Now you are the voice of Mickey Mouse. What is that like?
I get asked that a lot, actually, and it's a great question because, you know, my story starts with wanting to be an artist, and I wanted to be an artist because I loved Disney cartoons, especially the classics. I learned to draw by drawing Mickey Mouse. My dad and I would watch the classic cartoons and pause them and draw the characters. So I owe a lot of my artistic career and talent, I guess, to Disney. And then, yeah, I've always been a Mickey fan. I've loved Mickey as long as I can remember. And I started learning how to do the voice just for fun. I never really had aspirations to be a voice actor, or never to be the voice of Mickey even. But you know, it just, things kind of fell in my lap in that way. Fate had its way, and I ended up here, and so it's extremely surreal. But it's a blast. It's amazing. Yeah.
That is amazing. So I know you've also picked up all of the duties for Mickey. So I know this coming up January we have, I'm sure there's a bunch of fans in the audience for Kingdom Hearts video games. Yeah. You've done some of the games already, and you've done all of the games, I believe. Yeah.
This is like the 16th year we've been working on
goodness.
Kingdom Hearts. So it's one of the longest running franchises, I guess, that we've ever done.
That's amazing. I know, I'm still waiting for this next January for number 3.
People have been waiting a while.
Yeah, I've been waiting. There's only a few year gap between 1 and 2, and it's been like a 15-year gap between 2 and 3, so we're waiting. But this is your first one that's actually the main console game.
It is, yeah.
And are you excited about that?
Oh yeah, I'm so excited, so excited. I mean, the whole Kingdom Hearts world is phenomenal, and there's so many different exciting adventures that you get to go on, so yeah, I'm pretty pumped to be a part of the third, yeah.
And do you guys actually play any of the games?
I'm not good at games. I have my son play, and he tells me all about it. So, you know, and it's so funny, people always ask questions like, oh, what do you do in the game, and stuff like that. It's an interesting way of recording, especially with Kingdom Hearts, because it was originally done in Japanese. So in the booth, we're hearing the Japanese actors do their lines, and we have to replace them with English lines. So, and it's really weird to hear the Disney characters in other languages, because people studied our voices to learn how to do like Goofy's laugh, and you know, and Dwarves Helby, you know. And in my headphones, I'm hearing this guy in Japan go like, oh, you know, and then I got to, come on, Sora the Heartless, you know, and then I got to do that and put it in the same length of time that the Japanese words are, so that the lip flaps on the character kind of match. It's a very technical kind of thing. And I also voice Pluto, and I've voiced Pluto for the last 30 years. And that's really nice because I can do Pluto in any language. It's like Japanese, you know, there you go. German, you know, there you go. So, and I actually had one of the people from Japan was at our session, and he actually gave me a direction. It was like he was trying to get me to do a certain way of barking, and it was like, oh, woof, 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 and I'd go, woof, woof. Oh, that's good. It's very strange, very strange.
Okay, directions on how to bark like Pluto.
Yeah.
That's a new one. So, you also had a very big movie in the 90s, which was a Goofy movie.
Yeah, did anyone see a Goofy movie? Yeah. That movie it's kind of has a resurgence recently. They showed it for a week at the El Capitan Theater in Hollywood, and there are, like, I see a lot more like Powerline T-shirts and Hi Dad Suit T-shirts and Goofy movie T-shirts, and there's kind of been a resurgence of that movie. So, you know, maybe, you know, right in, maybe they should make another one now. So, you know, it's been long enough since '95, so it's time.
Get the whole gang back together.
Yeah, yeah.
So what are some upcoming projects that you guys can maybe talk about, if there's anything?
Well, there's a couple I can't, there's one actually that's been announced recently at the D23 that's coming out that I have a pivotal role in. I can't tell what character, but it's called Amphibian. And it's not Goofy, and because a lot of people think, oh, I only do Goofy, but we had a series called the 7D, as in the Seven Dwarfs, kind of reinvention of the Seven Dwarfs, and I played Doc in that, and
his voice was a very kind of a high, well, he's the intelligent one. He had glasses, a little pocket protector, and he's probably a little absent-minded professor-like.
and so we did 2 seasons of that, and we have that, and we never know from time to time what we're going to be doing next week. I have no idea what's coming up next week. We're in the middle of the Mickey and the Roadster Racers. We're on season 2 of that.
Yeah.
And so just more of the same, more cartoons. I've never been busier.
There's a lot of stuff coming up for Mickey's 90th, but I don't even know specifically what those projects are. I just know stuff's coming.
Oh, they haven't actually recorded anything yet.
I've done some stuff, but you know, there's just a lot of stuff that's still in the pipeline. So that's kind of how our jobs work.
And you were telling me about a game that might be coming up or something. We never know.
Yeah.
We never know. Very short into the future. It's not like, next year we're going to be doing it. It's like, what are you doing Tuesday? And they set a time, and we go in and do the bit then.
A lot of people like to imagine we have desks at the Disney studios where we're just sitting there and they're like, Mickey, we need you, Goofy, time to come in. I'm like, okay. Nope, we're waiting by the phone.
And that's probably one of the biggest misconceptions that people have, is that we're Disney employees. I'm not. I've never been a Disney employee, even though I've done like 3,500 different shows for them over the last 30 years. But that's why we can work for other studios as well, and I've done a lot of movies like for Illuminations. Last couple of years I've been doing some parts in Secret Life of Pets, Sing, upcoming is The Grinch. It'll be out next year with Benedict Cumberbatch as the Grinch, and we're working on that, and so it's in various stages of production and that kind of thing. So, you know, you never know what you're going to be doing tomorrow.
And that would be your third Dr. Seuss movie that you voiced.
Yeah, we did the Lorax and Horton Hears a Who. I did
Gee.
some background voices in and stuff like that. And as far as acting, voice acting, we kind of do it all. So I do a lot of background voices for movies as far back as Beauty and the Beast and Hunchback of Notre Dame, Tarzan, Pocahontas, probably 2.5 or something like that, and Monsters Inc. and Toy Story 2 and all of that kind of stuff. So.
You also did voices, correct me if I'm wrong, my brain could be a little scattered right now, of course. Space Jam for Foghorn Leghorn.
That was back in '95 as well as a Goofy movie. It was a big year for movies for me. I did Foghorn Leghorn, Sylvester the Cat, Yosemite Sam. I've done Bugs and Daffy in an episode of Robot Chicken where Bugs is doing a rap-off with Elmer Fudd. So I had to have Seth Green teach the whitest guy in the world on how to rap, as Bugs Bunny. That was kind of...
Oh, brother, ain't I a stinker?
Well, if anyone could teach you, it's Seth Green.
Yeah, he did a good job.
What is one of the weirdest things that you guys have ever had someone ask you, like, to say in a voice? Like, do you ever have people like, will you do my outgoing voicemail or something
All
like
the
that?
time, all
Yeah.
the time. I can't think of any weird thing. I mean, of course,
funny.
people always want the characters to, use foul language or something, which is just, the characters is so much about, and Bill talks about this a lot because he teaches voice acting, but it's not about just making the sound or making the voice. It's about being the character. And when you become the character and you're voicing the character, these characters wouldn't say things like that. So everyone gets a kick out of asking, say this, and it's like, no, I wouldn't. But yeah, voicemails all the time. I did Neil Patrick Harris's voicemail one time, Wilmer Valderrama. I get like weird requests where I'm like, that's odd that I'm on their voicemail.
Yeah.
I don't know them, but
Yeah, you do a lot of voicemails. I guess the weirder things are what sometimes the fans say to you. I think one of the weirder things that someone came up to me and said,
I want to learn to do Goofy so that I can do it when you die.
oh, well, I hope that's a long time from now.
I did have somebody recently ask me, they said, I've been told I do a really good Mickey voice. Are there any projects that you don't want to work on that I could do? No, I've got a mortgage to pay.
Yeah, we gotta pay them bills.
You guys must get people saying they do impressions all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Have you had any like really good ones? You're like, oh wow, that was a little bit better.
Well, Pete and Wayne Alwine, who did Mickey before Bret, and he passed away in 2009. I worked with him for like 25 years, it seems like, or about 20 years. He always said, it's kind of weird doing a voice that everyone can do.
Yeah.
Because if you can do a falsetto, you're kind of in the ballpark.
Yeah.
of doing Mickey's voice.
Uh-huh.
But it's the acting. It's not the Mickey.
Yeah.
And it's the life that you give to the character. It's not the voice that's important. Goofy's a tough one to match. And there's a division of Disney that does nothing but goes around the world and finds characters to loop the movies. And they have to do it in about 40-some different languages.
Oh, wow.
So if they come out with a movie, say Frozen, they got to find Elsa and Anna and all these characters, Olaf, in 42 different languages. And actors and actresses that can sing and sound like the ones in, and so it's so bizarre. And I've heard that the two toughest ones to match are Goofy and Winnie the Pooh. That they're very tough voices to match.
Yeah.
And it's funny, in Kingdom Hearts, we're hearing the Japanese Donald. And he's pretty good, actually.
he is,
He's
yeah.
actually he's really good.
Just
it
like-
sounds like Donald. I don't know what he's saying, but but I can't tell what he's saying in English.
Exactly, I was going to say, there's no different than...
That's why it works.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you guys actually met any of the other voice actors who are like your Japanese counterparts, your Indian counterparts, your Italian counterparts?
Once that happened to me, they
Oh, yeah?
called over from DCV and Disney Character Voices, a division of Disney that kind of oversees the characters. And they said, a couple of the other Goofies want to go to lunch with you. They were visiting. I went to lunch with the Chinese and the Norwegian Goofy.
Wow.
And that's so bizarre to hear Norwegian Goofy.
Yeah.
Oh, golly gee, oh, yo. You know, it's like really strange. And so that was a bizarre lunch, but
Sounds like if you get him a free Goofies locked
Yeah,
into a
right.
restaurant.
I haven't met any other Mickeys. The French Mickey has reached out to me on Facebook before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
written me a couple of times, but I haven't met any of them in person. No.
Should do that at D23 next year. Just get out all of them. Like, these are all of our Mickeys, ladies and gentlemen, from around the globe. These
I'm
are
just
all
always
of our
very
Mickeys.
skeptical because, like you said, so many people come up and do the voice to you. And I'm just like, I don't know. Are you real or are you just saying that? I don't know. I don't know.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. What's one of your favorite things about being the voice of Mickey or being the voice of Goofy? Like something that really just like resonates with you?
You know, I think I'd have to go back to the nostalgia factor for me. Because like you asked about growing up, being a Disney fan. So now, you know, I have little nieces and nephews that I get to take to the parks with me, and I'm watching them watch the cartoons, and just seeing how effective they are by these characters, and how much joy it brings them, and how it's pure. It's fun. It's clean. It's I think realizing the part we get to play in that whole world of just making people happy. So many people they love these characters, and it's like people know them. Mickey, Goofy, they're personal friends. So it's just really cool to be a part of that.
Yeah, I'm always amazed how real these characters are to a lot of the fans, and especially when we get to talk with people for like Make-A-Wish Foundation and famous phone friends, kids that are sick in the hospital and want to talk to Mickey or to Goofy. And I'm reminded of a story, this was probably 15, 20 years ago, and it really let me know how important these characters are. There's a woman that talked to Wayne, and Rusey does Minnie's voice, and there was a woman whose daughter had leukemia, and she was resisting treatment, was just kind of giving up. And so, Wayne and Rusey got on and said, when Pluto takes his medicine, he feels a lot better. And just from that, got a letter months later saying that the child's whole, outlook on life changed. And she was willing to take the chemotherapy and all of this stuff and went into remission. So it's not just doing a funny voice, it's like there's a real thing that goes on. And so you got to kind of respect that, especially for the kids out there, that this is really real to them.
Absolutely.
So take that very serious.
Absolutely. Like, again, I grew up you being a Goofy my entire life, and
That's because I'm very old.
no, it's just because I'm very young.
I'll help you off the stage, Bill. Don't worry.
Alrighty. Am I here?
You're right where you're supposed to be, pal. Don't worry.
Thank you.
We touched on Space Jam. Can you give us a little bit of a foghorn leghorn?
Oh yeah, I fortunately got to meet Mel Blanc shortly before he passed away
wow.
back in filming Roger Rabbit, and he was like a god to voice actors, and so I of course grew up trying to do those like Bud.
Oh, brother, ain't I a stinker? You're despicable.
And Frank Funkatesh, they're monsters. I said in Space Jam, and Rabbit. I seen that boy's about as sharp as a bowling ball. Yeah, it was a lot of fun in the booth, you can.
I just do one voice. Hi.
But it's an important voice. It's the most important.
It's kind of the most important.
Yeah.
It's the icon.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Known around the world. That's kind of weird too. That Mickey's known around the world. I think
He's
he's
an
the most
icon.
recognizable icon in the
After
world.
Coca-Cola, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was
No.
number 2 after Coca-Cola.
No, I
Mickey's
actually-
drinking a Coke.
Mickey drinking, yeah.
You got to win it.
There you go.
I actually think a few years ago I saw something that was like the most iconic people in the world, and Oprah was like number 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
But number 1 was Mickey Mouse.
Really? Yeah.
Anywhere around the
Oh,
world.
a hot dog. Please, sometimes.
Anywhere around the world, people recognize instantly. It's that instant, like, it's Mickey Mouse. It's Mickey Mouse. Some people might like to look at some, I'm not trying to throw a dig here at WB, but they might look at some Looney Tunes and not quite know who it is. But Mickey
Oh,
is
yeah,
like
they
the
know these
one.
characters. And that's kind of the best part of this kind of celebrity, because if you're Tom Cruise or something, you can't go to the store because people know exactly who you are. No one knows who we are. So
yeah.
it's like, you don't have to dress up to go to the store or anything, but you can turn it on and off at will. So if you want someone to know, if you're trying to get a better restaurant seat or something like, worse than Goofy sit by the window, sometimes it works.
to get out of a speeding ticket.
Oh gosh, I'm really sorry, officer.
Yeah.
I'm late for a recording session.
Yeah, what do you expect from Goofy?
I'll never do it again.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to try that out.
I have never done it because I'm pretty sure what I'd get is, here's your ticket, son.
Yeah, I'll draw Mickey on it for you.
I feel like they wouldn't believe.
No, they
like
wouldn't.
everybody can do Mickey,
You know what?
but then they hear Goofy,
Yeah.
they're like, wait a second. Wait a second, we can't. We have to go converse over here. What do you say? Are we gonna give Goofy a ticket? No, we're gonna let him go. You're good, Goofy. You're good, Goofy. You're good.
Yeah.
Do you guys go to the theme parks in Anaheim at all, or even around the world often?
Yeah, not often. I've never been to the ones outside the U.S.
Neither have I, no.
And so our voice has many, many times. And it's kind of funny because we'll do parades and stuff for Tokyo Disneyland. They like the English voices as well. And I guess it's just more original or something like that. But no, we go down and I've gone, we were on the Disney cruise ship a few weeks ago doing the show. And that's my 10th one doing that. And Walt Disney World, radio interviews, stuff like that. Disneyland from time to time. But it's always people calling up.
Can you get me into Disneyland? I've got 8 kids. It would be $3,000.
Exactly.
Are you able to get any discount?
No.
Do you guys get in for free?
We do.
Thank God. I was about to say, that would be an injustice.
That wasn't necessarily because it was just a nice thing to do. One time, a long time ago, when we started doing the voices, we were supposed to go down to Disneyland and do a radio remote at like 7 in the morning. And we get down there, and the guy behind the scenes didn't have us on the list. He wouldn't let us in. This is Mickey and Minnie and Donald and Goofy, and I don't care if it's Michael Eisner, you're not getting in here. And we missed the radio.
Did you?
We missed the whole thing.
Oh my God.
And it was too early in the morning to call up
Anyone,
the studio. So we missed it. And so it got to Roy Disney, and he said, give them passes so they can at least get in to do work. So that's how that came about.
Happens more often than not. Actually, though. A lot of times we're not on lists to get in places you think we should
never
be.
know.
It's so surprising. It's like, come on guys, get with it. What is it like when you guys go to Disneyland? You kind of hear yourself
Oh yeah.
on like the body tracks or something?
It's different. I feel a little bit like Mickey's changed a bit for me. Like I'll go to the park and I see a parade coming, and it's getting better. But initially, the parades would come down and I'd hear Mickey and I'd go, it's me, it's not Mickey. But now I'm getting to the point where we've done so much work that I don't necessarily recall every project we've done, so I can kind of tune it out and it just becomes a performance now. But yeah, it's weird. It's a bit weird.
And sometimes you go, oh, I could have done that better, or something. That was okay. I like that take. And so sometimes you're totally surprised, and it's like I don't even remember doing this job.
Is that me?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
What's your most memorable like recording session for Disney that you had like a moment you're like, oh, this was something great or really memorable?
So many of them.
You can list so many
Projects.
of them.
I said if it had to be a single project, it might be a Goofy movie, because that was, it was the first time any of the Fab Five had starred in a movie, a full-length feature film, and so I felt a lot of pressure that this would be good and everything. And it took a long time to put that movie together. Over 2.5 years, I probably did around 30 or 40 recording sessions. And then they get rid of a scene, they'll add a scene, but it came out to be really nice. And but it was kind of new to me when I saw it in theaters. I got to see it with a regular audience, so I got to hear them respond to it, which I don't get to hear very often. And it was a lot. That was probably the most important one to me.
For me, it was, a couple of years ago, or a year or two ago, we just updated Fantasmic at Disneyland. And for me, Fantasmic's what kind of got me started in doing voices, specifically Mickey. I used to listen to the soundtrack, and my brother and I would play Fantasmic. We'd put on our own little shows, and I would mimic all the character voices that I heard in that. And that's what kind of cemented Mickey for me. So when I got scheduled, I was told, we're doing Fantasmic, and I thought it was going to be for a new version somewhere across the world. And I walked in, and it was Disneyland's Fantasmic, and I was a little apprehensive because, I said to them, if we're not changing a whole lot, I'd prefer to leave it as is, because that was such a great performance of Wayne's, and it's so iconic. Everyone knows the last line in particular.
Some imagination, huh?
And so I just didn't want to step on that. It was a little too sacred ground for me. But they explained that there was enough stuff changing that they needed Mickey to re-record, so we did it. And in the end, for the last line, they actually wanted to leave Wayne in there as a little tribute to him, which I was completely on board with. But we recorded my version anyway. And then fast forward to when the show actually premiered, I got to go down and watch it with my brother. We were watching it, and it was fun to watch, and it was cool to see, I'm a part of it. And then the last line came, and they had replaced Wayne with me. And I was emotionally moved. I was startled. I started crying because it was a real full circle moment for me to have been that, I think I was 7 when Fantasmic came out. And to have that been such a big part of me learning Mickey's voice, and now you go to the park and I get to be a part of it. It's really weird, but that's the most memorable one. Yeah,
That just like got me in my heart right now. That's good. Like, but Clem.
it's a powerful show. I mean, to me, that's quintessential Disney. You're at Disneyland. There's this nondescript island, and then all of a sudden, this like magic unfolds.
Magical water show.
Yeah, it's incredible.
All right, I feel a little selfish up here just asking all the questions. Now, I've given you guys several moments. Who has some questions in the audience?
We need questions from
Any
the audience.
children?
Yeah, we got a lot of them.
Right here in the blue. You know what, I'm gonna run right down to you. How about that? How about
Hello. You might recognize me because I was at the Anime Expo and I got your signature next to your friend Tony Anselmo, who is the voice of Donald Duck for many people that don't know. So, this is, and I'm very thankful I got to see you guys again here, including meeting you, Mr. Bret.
Thank you.
Since you were talking about your friend Wayne Alwine, is that how you pronounce it? Okay. Because this is a little saddening because I wanted to go ask, so what was it like working with Wayne Alwine, Bill?
Wayne was amazing, and for those of you who don't know, he was married in real life to Russi Taylor, the voice of Minnie. They were not married when they started doing this job. They both were in bad marriages. They fell in love. Each got divorced from their respective spouses, and they got married, and they were Mickey and Minnie. I've never seen a more, beautiful couple in my life. And Wayne, he always lamented that he felt the lines that they gave him were too bland, that he was a corporate icon and they didn't give him all of the funny lines. They'd either give it to me or Donald or something like that. They didn't want to risk it with Mickey. And so Wayne was one of the funniest guys I ever knew. He got to show about 5% of what he was capable of. He was an Emmy Award-winning sound editor before he, on the side, because that he did before he was doing, and he worked with Jimmy McDonald, the second voice of Mickey, under Walt, took it over from Walt Disney, and learned from Jimmy, and he was one of the funniest guys. He would crack you up. And unfortunately, he didn't get to show near what he was capable of, but still, he made a great Mickey.
Thank you very much there, Bill.
Thank you. Who has right here. What is your name? Where are you from?
Roger, actually from Humphreys, and actually I had a physics question for you. I teach physics, and I actually have taught a course on physics of speech and hearing, and I've heard from various voice actors that they're able to sort of localize where it is in the vocal tract they feel like they're exerting the effort when they do the different voices. So what's your experience been?
Okay, well, I teach students how to do voices, and voices are made up of 3 basic parts. And I have a theory, I just call it the SAT theory, SAT theory. Situation, articulation, and tone. It starts with a tone. If you're doing a Mickey, you would do a falsetto.
A high voice, and this is me talking in my regular voice with a falsetto.
Or I could do a gravelly voice. This is me talking in my regular voice, kind of making a gravelly tone.
Now I can take that tone and I can articulate it, and that's what you're Tone does what your throat does. The articulation is what your mouth does. So if I have that and I put on a Western accent, I got me a character that sounds somewhat like that. I could take the same thing, I could put on an English accent and I got some sort of great character that sounds like that. So tone and articulation make the voice. Then the S situation is what's going on, the acting, and that's the most important one. You know, if I'm saying to Mickey, "Dwarf, Mickey, let's get out of here," you know, unless, you know, let's say the scene is, the situation is the house is on fire, I'd probably say, "Come on, Mickey, let's get out of here." You know, that tells you what you do with the voice, you know, how to act. And so we have to rely on the director a lot now because we always record by ourselves in the studio. We aren't together. And so because of scheduling and stuff like that, you know, Bret might come in on a Thursday, I'd come in on a Wednesday, but I know how he'd say a line, and all I need to know is like, how far is Mickey away? If he's like 2 feet away, I said, "Howdy, Mick." You know, if he's 20 feet away, "Howdy, Mick." Or if he's, 100 feet away, "Howdy there, Mickey." You know, then I adjust my acting thusly. That's in a nutshell what it's all about.
In a physical sense there.
in the physical sense. For me, the falsetto, Mickey's voice is a falsetto, just like Bill said, but there's those other elements that go into it. But, you know, I'm physically very affected by my sinuses. And so a lot of people ask me, does it hurt to do Mickey's voice? No, it doesn't hurt to do Mickey's voice. But just like doing any voice for a prolonged amount of time, you get tired. And for me, if I'm having allergies or any type of cold or what, that's going to affect me because it's all about how much air is passing through my head and my sinuses. I had somewhere else to go with that, but I forgot, so there you go.
So long.
I see you. I see you. I was coming. Name and where are you from?
My name is Hector, I'm from Corona. I have a quick question for both of you. With these great gifts and talents that you have for doing these voices, have you ever done any interesting pranks at Disneyland parks or at places you've gone or surprised kids out of nowhere?
I don't think I have. I feel like you probably have.
Well,
would
when I
be surprised if you have.
started, I was doing impressions and stuff back in high school, and my friends would always put me up to doing something. We'd call friends, and and I would drive through things like Burger King, and they'd say, "Order in a weird voice," and I'd go,
I'd like a Whopper with cheese, and Arnold the Pig would like a Coca-Cola.
and they'd look out, and they'd go, "That's cool, man." And so it just kind of started as a lark, just doing weird voices, you know. And I started doing all those old actors. Got a lot of westerns in those days, like old John Wayne, and going around talking, and they put me up at my high school to do pep assemblies, because in Kansas, where I grew up, we'd be fighting the Dodge City Demons or something like that. So in pep assembly, get up and do John Wayne. So I'd start doing voices and stuff, and that's kind of how I started doing them. I got known for that. So yeah, I've done a lot of pranks over there.
I guess I have called the front desk at a Disney resort before. I was on a business trip, and they were like, I forget what we had to call down for, but they're like, "Call as Mickey." So I, they answered.